You think it's finally happening. The late night calls, the long eye contact, the way she slowly let her walls down. For a moment, you felt chosen. Then, suddenly, she changes. Her replies get colder, her energy disappears, you feel her slipping away while you sit there replaying every conversation in your head, wondering what you did wrong. Let me explain why. Because this isn't random, it's psychology. You were never just fighting for her attention, you were fighting against her fear of intimacy. And most men don't realize that until it destroys them. At first, everything feels effortless. She wants to know everything about you. She mirrors your humor, your values, your pain. She makes you feel seen in a way most people never do. And that's exactly why you become emotionally invested so fast. But here's the truth. The closer someone gets to emotional vulnerability, the more their hidden patterns begin to surface, especially if they've been hurt before, especially if love for them was never safe. You think distance means loss of interest, but sometimes distance is panic. You're sitting there thinking, she liked me yesterday, what changed? What changed is emotional proximity. The connection became real, and reality is terrifying for people who are emotionally conflicted. Because intimacy sounds beautiful until it requires trust, until it requires consistency, until someone actually sees them beneath the mask. That's when the withdrawal begins. Not always consciously. Sometimes she doesn't even understand why she's doing it. One moment she craves closeness, the next moment she feels trapped by it. So she pulls away. Not because you're worthless, but because emotional attachment activates fear. Fear of abandonment, fear of losing control, fear of being emotionally dependent on someone who could leave. And the deeper the connection gets, the louder those fears become. This is why some women become distant right after moments of intimacy, right after the deep conversations, right after the night that felt emotionally perfect. Because closeness exposed something inside her she can no longer avoid, and instead of processing it, she escapes it. That's not love, that's control. Control over vulnerability, control over emotional exposure, control over the possibility of pain. Here's where most men destroy themselves. They chase harder. The moment she becomes distant, they panic. More texts, more reassurance, more emotional pressure. They think, if I love harder, she'll come back. But desperation never creates attraction. It creates emotional weight. And when someone already fears intimacy, emotional pressure feels suffocating, so the distance grows even more. Now understand this carefully. Not every woman who pulls away is manipulative. Some are simply emotionally wounded. Some grew up in chaos. Some learned that love disappears the moment they trust it. So they develop a survival mechanism. They crave connection, but fear stability. They want intimacy, but subconsciously sabotage it once it arrives. This creates the most dangerous relationship dynamic of all, intermittent affection. Hot and cold, close and distant, attachment and withdrawal. And psychologically, intermittent reward is addictive. That's why you can't stop thinking about her. Your brain becomes trapped in uncertainty. You obsess over small signals. You analyze her silence. You become emotionally dependent on moments that used to come naturally. This isn't love anymore. It's emotional conditioning. Your nervous system starts chasing validation instead of connection, and slowly you lose yourself. You stop focusing on your mission, your confidence weakens, your emotional state becomes controlled by someone else's inconsistency. That's the trap. This isn't random, it's psychology. The human mind values what feels unstable because instability creates obsession. Certainty feels calm, uncertainty feels addictive, and many men mistake emotional addiction for deep love. But let me tell you something most people are too afraid to admit. A healthy connection should not constantly leave you anxious. Real intimacy brings peace, not confusion, not emotional starvation, not endless overthinking at 2 a.m. Now, does that mean you should become cold?
No, but it means you must stop abandoning yourself every time someone else becomes emotionally unavailable. Because masculine strength is not emotional suppression, it's emotional stability. It's the ability to stay grounded while someone else becomes inconsistent. It's recognizing the difference between empathy and self-destruction. Here's a real-world example. A man meets a woman who seems deeply connected to him. At first, she's fully present. She opens up emotionally, talks about her past, her fears, her dreams. He feels rare to her. Then, one day, after things become serious, she becomes distant. He immediately assumes another man is involved, so he starts trying to fix it. He sends paragraphs, checks her social media constantly, becomes emotionally reactive. But what he doesn't realize is that his panic confirms her deepest fear, that closeness creates pressure. Now she associates the relationship with emotional heaviness, so she withdraws even more. Not because he cared, but because he lost emotional control trying to keep her. And here's the brutal truth. The more your identity depends on someone staying, the weaker your presence becomes. Because attachment built on fear always leaks desperation, and people can feel that. The strongest thing you can do when someone pulls away is not to chase blindly, it's to observe. To stay calm, to maintain your standards, to let actions reveal truth. Because if someone genuinely values connection, space will create clarity. But if distance becomes manipulation, inconsistency, or emotional games, then you finally see the relationship for what it really is. And that changes everything. You stop romanticizing potential. You stop confusing chemistry with compatibility. You stop trying to heal people by sacrificing yourself. Here's the truth most men learn too late. You cannot force emotional readiness. No amount of loyalty can heal someone who runs from intimacy. No amount of patience can save someone addicted to emotional chaos. And no amount of love can work if only one person is emotionally available. So what do? You become emotionally disciplined. You stop chasing people who only value you when you're distant. You stop begging for consistency. You stop interpreting confusion as passion. And most importantly, you stop measuring your worth by someone else's inability to stay close. Because the right connection won't require you to lose your peace just to maintain it. The right connection won't punish vulnerability. The right connection won't disappear the moment intimacy becomes real. And once you truly understand that, you stop fearing distance. You start seeing it for what it is, a revelation, a test of emotional maturity, and sometimes the clearest sign that someone is not ready to meet you where you are.
If this message hits something real inside you, if you've ever confused emotional chaos for love, if you've ever lost yourself trying to hold on to someone who kept pulling away, then hit the like button. Because the more men understand this psychology, the less they'll destroy themselves chasing people who were never emotionally ready to stay. And subscribe to Psychological Code, because this channel isn't here to sell fantasy. It's here to help you see human behavior clearly, to strengthen your mind, protect your peace, and understand the psychology most people never talk about. Stay grounded, stay aware, and never abandon yourself just to keep someone else close.